Good to see you. Good morning or good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, we got. Don't ask. I'm not sure what your what's going on, Mouse. Don't ask what do you have a hero name? Are you part of the community? As a
I don't.
cast member?
I'm Red Ronin.
Red Ronin, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. What's going on?
I had to make a new account because I didn't want my personal account linked to it. Sorry, it's
Nice.
Stay anonymous.
Nice, good stuff. And guys, as you know, we normally record all these sessions and we put them online so anyone could access them. So just so that everyone knows.
Sounds good.
What's going on, you Long?
Hello.
You Long, good to see you.
What's up, brother?
I'm doing good. Happy to see you guys. Oh, we got Voldemir coming in.
I'm glad to be here.
Voldemir. Good to see you, Voldemir. All right, guys. So thank you everybody for being here. This is our first hero meetup of the year, and we just need to sync for what's going on this year. This is a really, really important year for JFH and for every character that is essentially participating in building your narrative within the cinematic universe, within the larger narrative. So I wanted to take some time today and just list out, just lightly map out where we're going this year, and you're going to see a lot more detailed like vision videos, etc. Like the video we put out last night was just to set a little bit of the tone for what we're doing with this year. But we have like phases that we're going to be releasing. It's super clear, like nothing like we're going to wait per phase and then they're going to reveal. We're just going to lay it all out there so that everyone knows the trajectory, so that we can all actually build together. So but just to start that off, in 1 year's time, we expect to be going on tour. And what that means is that we're actually going to take a production team, a crew, and we're going to travel all around the country, and we're going to be shooting the series, the next stage of the JFH series, with heroes in every state. So that being said, we need to actually be in a position where we can actually execute on that. And there's multiple things that are multiple components to getting us to that position where we can actually go on tour, bring a production crew all around the country, and get us to essentially be able to bring heroes together in person. Of course, we're in COVID right now, so we're always taking that into consideration, but a tour has always been on the table. So what we're doing now in terms of today and how we can actually get there, of course, are essentially these missions and challenges that we've been putting out. So from the standpoint of looking at your personal narratives within on your own as characters, or for folks like Pierre, like Captain Darkness, etc. He plays multiple characters, both heroes and villains, which is awesome. But each one of those characters has their own storyline. So I would always. Are we good? Okay, good. I would encourage everybody to think of their storyline as a line, and that singular line moving in one direction upward, but also being able to cross over, interconnect with other heroes' lines. And so seeing all these lines kind of together, moving upward, and just bringing your perspective, your imagination a little bit farther back. All those lines are like grooves in a tree. This one tree is that universe narrative. It's the trajectory of us growing upward. So, and those grooves will cross over, those lines will cross over, etc. And that's how we're going to be. The challenges and missions are essentially going to be able to unite these lines, your storylines with other character storylines. Anytime we say challenge, we really do mean your story, your personal character story. Like the challenges are emphasizing the building of your narrative. What's going on, Elixir? Zeno, J. Edward. So before I go even deeper into the challenges and the missions and how we're going to be connecting those, does anyone have any thoughts or ideas so far? Because I realize I'm kind of like blazing through this. I really want to. There's a lot here. What's going on, Sensei Klaus? Klaus. So again, the concept for anyone who's just joining is this year is a big year for JFH. As you saw in the video yesterday, we're expanding the community. We need to expand the community greatly, but we also, to do that, I think everyone needs to have a real understanding of the trajectory. In 1 year's time, we're going on tour, COVID permitting. And in the interim, we're going to be preparing to be able to go on tour and actually shoot content in every state and bring together heroes. So to do that, every hero needs to have, it is ideal that every hero has their own story flushed out. And your storylines are self-contained, they're yours, you own and control your story. And if anyone who hasn't directly met me before, I'm Jan. I didn't start out with an intro, but I'm Jan Lucanis, and I'm speaking out of character. And I'm a producer. I'm the founder of the startup social film studio Real World, and the whole point of Real World is to be able to create stories, make movies with the world. In other words, people creating their own characters and stories that tie together and building out cinematic universes. So Justice for Hire is our first world, and so much of what we're building and all the things that we'll do beyond this and also expanding JFH, like JFH is the proof of concept. It is us actually making stuff together on a very, very wide level. So that being said, like there's technology behind this. There's like traditional Hollywood like film best practices, development processes that we're implementing here. And in character, I play Jan, also in Justice for Hire, which is I'm a martial arts guy who helped to put together an app, and all these heroes started coming. But I'll speak out of character for the majority of this meetup. So, and I want to make sure that if anyone has any questions, feel free at any time just to raise your hand, like wave or press the little raise your hand button. Is that a wave from Jay Edward? All right, there we go. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, hello everybody. Okay, so I have a suggestion for the episodes. Instead of calling them episodes, call them teasers or mini episodes, because when people are watching the episodes, they look too small to be episodes. I think that when you were saying episodes, I was going to YouTube and I was looking for the episodes. I was expecting to see something much longer, much bigger duration than what it is, and they feel a bit of a teaser, more than episodes.
I deeply appreciate that. So I'll say this, that when we say episodes, we mean episodic content. We mean episodic content within the tree, the big narrative, the mega narrative, it might be called. Essentially, right. that would, those first 4 episodes, there's a 4th one that'll be out shortly, but the first 4 episodes are essentially a pack. And you're actually completely correct in the sense that they are essentially teasing aspects of what the universe rules are. And so the 4th episode will kind of tie together a lot. And they're all very, very short. After episode 4, there'll be essentially a shift to one of our foundational characters. Again, Justice for Hire is very much based off of a comic book series or inspired by a comic book series. So you're going to see one of those characters from the original comic series. She'll be a main focus for several episodes that will be have more of a traditional narrative structure. So, and a lot of people have met her before on these meetups. So that'll be fun. And of course, all of our characters can interact with her and create content with her, etc. So that'll be a push for the next several episodes after that. And then you'll see we have content pretty much for the year, and that's already been produced, that'll be tying together, and there'll be missions and challenges that connect to those that'll help all of us build our individual stories, as well as and let me define what missions are. Missions are about the universe story. versus your challenges, which are about your individual storyline. So kind of bringing it back to the trajectory for the year, the more that we have of individual storylines from each one of you, when we hit that point where we're actually going on tour, we could be referencing those storylines and ideally traveling to you or sending a production team to you to unite other heroes around your storyline. So the people that have their storyline the most fleshed out, ideally, are essentially going to be the ones that we're looking at and saying, okay, cool. Are the journey challenges 1 through 15, which is essentially the journey challenges are the ones that build your particular storyline. And we've released 2 of them so far, but we hadn't clarified as much of what those journey challenges are going to mean in terms of the year-long trajectory. But the more people who complete those challenges are essentially going to be the heroes that we're really looking at to identify where we're touring to. So if we know, hey, Florida's got like several heroes that have done this journey challenge, Texas, Milwaukee, that's where we're like, okay, cool, that we're going to go there and we're going to centralize all the other heroes who may not necessarily have gone as far in their journey challenges. They can tie into your stories, but it's really more so about us being able to anchor on your stories.
Right, that's what I'm doing. The story of my character. So I'm a character out of character and my hero. And on my story, I have a main story where other characters, other heroes can hook into that story, because it's more in the organized crime kind of thing. So anybody who has an idea based on that main story, they can just develop from that. And I think with the story I'm creating, it's very easy to create around that one.
That's cool.
That particular story.
Oh, we have a question from Captain Darkness.
I'm still developing my story. It's like a scene, but it's actually it started in acts. So I start my stories in acts. So like in a play, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4. So I developed those types of ways to create a story. So Act 1 is just the birth of the assassin. So it's just that act, and anyone wants to tie into that. It starts out very slowly, but it gets good after you start reading it.
Okay, well, the fact that you're aware of that narrative structure is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a little wordy. It's not there, but I'm still working on my villain's backstory at the moment, because he's the center point of all the focus. Center point. And I'm still trying to work on the third one, the second villain as promised, and the second hero, and it's coming soon. Those 2 are coming soon. So it's still in progression right now. I'm still working on the villain I just created, where I can actually tie in some more elements of where the heroes can get into the elements of searching for him.
Well, I'll say this, because we are working on there's the tech side of what we're doing, and then there's the production side. And from a production standpoint, your story and anybody's story, may require some editing. And I will say this, that if you are not inclined or trained as an editor, we are doing our best to make sure that we make the cinematic storytelling process easier for you. So when it comes to, and we're going to put out you may have seen it at the end of episode 3, there's a call to action, essentially a mission to recreate episode 3 in your own way. And anybody who does that mission, we're going to put out that CTA on its own. But anyone who does that mission, and you just send us the raw footage, we'll cut it together for you. And so, feel free. We're going to do many missions like that, where we'll actually state, hey, you know what? Just send these shots, and we're going to produce them to cut them together to you and for you and package them essentially. We're going to be automating that over time. We've been working on that that's been on the roadmap for a while. But right now, we just want to make sure that especially since the community is still growing, we're still at a stage where it's manageable for a handful of people, because we're still a startup, company. We don't have a lot of staff, so it's just like, can we cut all this? Like, yes, but when it's 10x our audience growth, it's going to be nearly impossible to do that. We'll have to be way more like, we'll figure out how to filter it. But like right now, it's going to be super manageable. So that's an offer to everybody. Send us your raw footage. If you're like you, Long, I know you're cutting your stuff. That's great. Jay Edward, I know you're like a pro filmmaker. I know you're cutting your stuff. But anybody who's like, hey, you know what, I cut, even if you like to cut, but you want to have it more polished or polished in a particular way, feel free to send it off, and we'll send it over, and we'll surely be able to integrate. That being said, all of this, like what we're really building toward, is doing our own shows and movies together, and live events where we're coming together, both like the Avengers and also kind of like the WWE. So like, again, the WWE is run for decades and decades. I've never actually been a fan, but I've grown to really respect what they do because of the fact that it's been a singular storyline with multiple characters that's run for decades. So I'm like, wow, we should probably be paying attention to that. They're doing amazing live choreography. So that being said, this is we have the infrastructure in terms of our own network to be able to facilitate the growth of these series and films on a larger scale. But to get there, we actually need to have the creative infrastructure, and that's really what we're talking about today.
I did, Jan. I think I sent you the info about how to create the multiple characters.
Multiple characters, yes.
Yeah, I sent you that.
Thank you. Yeah, I looked over that last night. That's the first time I saw that last night. So thank you. I want to talk to you on the side about that. And where we're at right now is, first of all, does anyone have any questions about this creative structure, the concept of us saying, hey, 1 year out, going on tour, to get there, everyone's working on their own stories, or they're working on
how's the safety protocol is with this, creating the tour, the safety protocol?
So the tour, I think it's a little early to talk. It's a little early to talk about what's going to happen in a year, because culture's shifting so quickly. The tour has been on our roadmap for a very long time. So we're just closer now because the community is more active, and episodes are coming out, content's coming out that's essentially helping to tie together the concept. So we're going to be more clear and articulate with the videos that we put out that help to tie together from even a business standpoint. Like, what are we actually doing? Like, if everyone, it's kind of unheard of, especially when it comes to building out, quote unquote, a Hollywood franchise. It's unheard of where people like outside of the studio own their own characters, own any of their own content. That's unheard of. So as a matter of fact, that's actually been a major blocker for this not having been done in the past in Hollywood. So we're in this position where we're doing something very, very new, and we're figuring it out as we go, even though we have like extensive research and like super esteemed advisors on our side that have helped us like think through a lot of things. We really are doing something new, and we're all doing it together. So we just got to figure this stuff out. When we get closer to the tour, we will like know all the protocols for safety, and will absolutely be like every production will have insurance. Every production will be like a professional production when we're on that tour, 100%.
Is there a way I can send my excerpts from my character to you? Because I still working on it on paper, and I have to do it on the computer. Is there a way I can send it over so you can have a look at it?
Sure, I'll put my email right in here. It's Jan at Justice for Hire. So you can just justiceforhire.com. So I'll just put that for everybody too. Is this everybody? Jan at Justice. Yeah. So always feel free to send me an email. Of course, I'm accessible on on IG, etc. So yeah. Anything you want to send over, and we are doing these the app tests every Wednesday. So anybody who wants to, Zeno was there this week, like Sensei Claus has been there, Zero has been there, Yulong's been there, so like it's come and join those app tests because those are going to we're going to shift away from tests when we actually open the app, and we're going to start doing very, very focused.
Is it going to be available on Google is the thing?
Yes.
Like a downloadable?
It'll be a downloadable eventually, but we're hyper focused on it just being accessible as a dynamic web app right from your phone, and also from desktop. But our main experience right now, the core experience is phone. So yeah, and as I was saying, in terms of like balancing the creative and the business, again, everybody owns their character. So if these are your characters, your rights, we have you know a very, very detailed like terms of service on the app, and that essentially lines out like how you own it. And we have a non-exclusive license as like a brand putting together the story with you guys. And us as a team. So, you know, it's a different structure, because we want to make sure that if your character becomes like the next Deadpool, that you know, that you reap the benefits from that fully, you know? Yes, J. Edward.
Yes. So, I mean, I understand we are pioneers of this new system that you're trying to build. But this quarantine is great in the sense that we have plenty of time to develop great characters and great stories in order for us to be able to produce whenever we get the green light to actually get together and be able to produce the content. I mean, this is great that we're meeting all the characters, so that way, you know, we can all get our gears together and get ideas working on what can be created with the characters that we have, and even create antagonists within, or like for me to create an antagonist in my story that you guys can connect into. So this communication, if we can have it more often, that would be better, because I have ideas all the time. I don't know if you like, when you get together, you just like start working and working and working. Okay, you have that character, I can unite that character with that character, and be able to unite the story to where you guys can film from your location and just put it together in the editing room and be able to connect it to as a fluent story. So absolutely. I think that that this time that we have, it's perfect for us to really get solid stuff and make them longer. I really think that you need to make them longer.
Well, we normally do these meetups every couple of weeks in January, especially kind of going into the end of the year, December. You know, yes, these will be more often. And okay. You know, I think one of our last meetup, if not our last meetup, Yu Long and Voldemir and a few others started talking about interconnecting their stories and are working on that on the side, which is great. That being said, and part of the reason we were actually, you know, so out of pocket in December in terms of time is because we were setting up for our startup an equity crowdfunding campaign, which is an investment opportunity for anybody who's 18 and over. If you want to become part of the real world team and actually own a piece of the technology that's being built, that's a campaign that's running right now. We're actually going to start doing a hard push on that campaign within the next 2 weeks, because there's a massive mega vision video that's coming out just for that campaign that's taken us a while to put together. So that'll be in about 2 weeks that you'll start seeing the harder push on that. And that's really going to be what we're doing right now for JFH. We're going to do for every major studio. We're going to do for networks. But I mean, of course, we're building a template. And that template, you know, we have it's patent pending. You know, like, so this is all very serious stuff we've been working on for a while. Yu Long, you had a question?
Sorry about that. Tried to get in quick. So mixing our stories together or our missions together, I think is a great idea. We have a common ground. We have a common idea here. You know, JFH itself, that word or that phrase, it gives us a common purpose, right? We have a mission. We see something. We do something. We get called to do something. We react. Our initial reaction tells where the story is going to go. Our personal storyline is going to connect into each and every one's storyline. However, the difficulty of connecting those two is not actually a difficulty. We should very much show how our connectivity to the JFH universe, to each villain and or hero, actually, what's the word here? I hate using the word connect again. I used it 3 times. But how we connect to everyone in the JFH universe can be shown through our reactions in our personal story. I'll give an example. I've been trying to work on the 3rd challenge, but my whole backyard set just keeps dropping, keeps collapsing from the wind and snow and shit. Excuse my language. It came down again the other day. So I have like pieces I have to start putting together for the video. However, within my own personal my personal journey, there will be reactions to how I can fit my character. Well, I'm out of character right now. How I can fit my character Yulong to everyone else indirectly, saying like, yeah, there is the availability. I'm just saying this way, the availability of me being there with or for everyone else in this universe, be it to a villain, be it to a hero. So I think the interconnectivity of all of us can be shown throughout our personal journey. Like, why are we even part of the JFH? But not stating this is why I'm part of JFH. It's just like, I need to be able to do something, like that mission statement, or that why am I here to do this, this, and that? You know, like your call to action for the, let's say the 3rd challenge, right? Your call to action. Why? What made you open your eyes to be part of this thing or do something out there in the world? You know, so like just wanted to touch on that. We can really feel exactly. We can really connect by that one thing, justice for hire. Okay, now where in our personal story do we show indirectly, because you always let the imagination run, our purpose with the heroes and or with the villain?
That's really, really appreciate that. And I'll say that anyone who's been jumping into the app test sessions can see that while clients in the story hire heroes traditionally, heroes can essentially create a call to action for other heroes. So you can create a storyline and send it to another hero, essentially saying, when I say a storyline, it's really identifying a challenge and allowing that hero to solve it, and maybe giving a little bit of direction on how you want it solved. A client might say, hey, you know, my cat is stuck in a tree, you know, the classic save the cat, and like, you know, please get it down. And however you get it down is however your hero chooses to, you know, you may grappling hook up there, you may climb, and you may, you know, grab a broom and then catch it. So there's so many different ways.
And or if it's a Deadpool method, you just blow up the tree and hope the cat survives.
Blow up that tree. Code Gray just joined. What's going on? That's great, Yulong. And does anyone have any ideas? I mean, again, the intention here is being able to pull together our stories. And I know we have new heroes that have joined us as well. In terms of, I know Mouse is putting together some something that's highly anticipated. But you know, J. Edward, yes.
I'm trying.
Yeah, it's me again. Sorry, guys. I think that right now it's a perfect time to build a backstory for the heroes or antagonists. How they, like, you know, he was saying how we got to this point, and like how they got the training, how they got the mentality to become a hero. What got them to the point to get so fed up to actually take action and try to do something and unite with the heroes, you know?
So that makes me want to ask everybody a question here. So what is more attractive for everyone in terms of how you look at your heroes? Because from my, Yulong just mentioned something that I was thinking about yesterday or the day before that I forgot. I was like, man, I need to write this down. I forgot to write it down. So I'm so happy that Yulong just said it and he sparked it again. And J. Edward, you just kind of connected to how the thinking is now. And so my question to everyone, and I really love everybody's individual responses on this, is when it comes to your individual stories, do you feel that you being the hero independent of JFH, first and foremost, and then coming to JFH is more attractive, or do you see JFH as a catalyzer for you to become the hero? So I'm really interested in, and that one, it's not that one has to exist and the other one can't exist. Both can exist, but I'm interested in, and I'll say that again. Does your hero character exist without JFH, or did JFH catalyze you to become the character, the hero character? And I would just love everybody's response on this, and perhaps starting with Mouse.
Okay, so here's something. There was the reason why I'm called Mouse, I'll say that first, is because I'll get into a system, get out of it, and just to go on your question for everyone, my character, he didn't start as a hacker. He was just an average kid in school. He was bullied and all that. Then like there was an app that got created and he found it. And then it opened his eyes to try and help people and all that. And finally he's just gonna use it for good and all that. And I don't want to spoil nothing because technically I don't really have that much, but still I'm not gonna spoil nothing. But I'm hoping my story is gonna be awesome. And yeah.
Thank you. That's amazing. That was amazing to hear. Captain Doctor out of character, Pierre.
My character didn't start out as a hero or an assassin. In the same line, he was bullied, he was mocked, he was teased, he was abandoned. He didn't have many friends, but he did love a challenge. He enjoyed mostly challenging strong opponents with more skill than him so he can grow and learn at the same time. He basically learns as he goes. He learns as he goes, as he battles in challenging people, and he grows and becomes more developed or more center focused in the storyline. He just found JFH as another tool, another platform, I guess. I was about to say tool, but it's not a good word to say tool. Another platform to grow and learn and just experience more growth and becoming more center focused into the story, as well as the villain. But the villain is just, he does the same process as the hero. He grows and learns. Each foil, he learns and grows from that foil. But he does basically grows and learns at the same time. But that's what all my characters is based on, growing and learning. Learning from mistakes, learning from failures, growing from adversity. It's mostly fighting for something more, something peaceful, more peaceful, but centered, more grounded and centered. Of course, it causes a lot of chaos. Who knows? It's just that's how my characters learn. It's mostly through failure, falling down, getting back up, and keep going at it. That's how Captain does keep fighting. He loves a challenge. He loves that thirst for battle. He keeps fighting.
Thank you so much, man. Both of you answered the question. You kind of gave both sides of that of the question validity, which is fantastic. Red Ronin, I'd be interested in your thoughts on the catalyst for your character, whether it's JFH or if your character existed on its own.
I do believe my character would have existed on its own before JFH, and JFH definitely utilized more people a part of it.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. That's super helpful. AK Wonder.
Yeah, I think my character, was going through a period of change in her life. My AK Wonder, my character, out of character Autumn, and I think when she found JFH, she felt like really frustrated in the status quo of the world, and JFH was something that she could put positive energy toward. So I think the character did not exist, to answer your question, Jan, prior.
Thank you. So okay, this is really giving me, and I want to give I want everyone to actually I'm really interested in the feedback for everybody. But now this is completely definitive in terms of we need to make sure that people that both sides actually have the ability to exist in terms of, hey, I'm not catalyzed by JFH. I am catalyzed by JFH. I see both Zeno and Voldemort. So Zeno, if you can go first, and then Voldemort next, please.
Oh, me? No. Okay. So the way my character is set up, with Zeno, he comes from a secret family. And he has siblings, brothers and sisters. And a short to a long plot, I'm just gonna make it short. Pretty much the idea is that Mother is what we would call her, found a way to eternal life. And there's a council that she's a part of, that tries to keep a balance of order throughout realms. And the idea behind Zeno is he found love, and he wants to be away from any affiliation with that council, including his siblings who possess power, mystical powers. And the life that Zeno gives up is having that power and eternal life. He gives that up for love. And the idea now is his family, something happened within the council, and it just so happens, obviously, Earth is just like that one place that everyone, in regardless of any movie, whatever that we've seen, is just like that sweet place where you just want to probably take over. The idea is now he has to make a big choice and a decision to reconnect with his dark past in order to stop his siblings from trying to take over the world. But there's a lot more that goes into that. So, but I feel like Justice for Hire was a way for him to still have that connection to helping others without needing the use of his powers. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a way of finding access to unlocking them again, if the time is appropriate.
That's spectacular. Thank you for sharing that. That's a very rich backstory, and we want to make sure that again, you were on the app test, so you know that there's space to actually write that backstory in your profile, this is super helpful. So I'm taking notes right now. Voldemort, and then Zero. We have Zeno and Zero, and they're right next to each other on my screen. It's super fun.
Well, hello, first of all, to everyone on this stream. Well, whatever you really want to call this. But as for my character Voldemort, in the very beginning, I'm going to explain a little bit, but at a certain point, I'm actually going to go into character and actually talk as if that was actually him again. And you're pretty much going to hear a part of like his actual story from pretty much in his eyes and how he sees it. Would you actually be okay with that?
Absolutely. You can just start, you can clarify each one by saying out of character and in character. So right now it sounds like you're speaking out of character. And then when you go in character, just say in character.
Okay, very well. So in the very beginning, my character was, he pretty much started off just training with a bunch of his friends, just normal hand-to-hand combat, weaponry, all that sort. They thought they were going to try to form a special team together in the very beginning. And so at a certain point, one of his co-workers at the time, because they had actually ran a few ops and whatnot, and so basically one of them had kept claiming to be the hero, the one that saved everyone and that had claimed to do everything for justice. But the coworker was blinded and had tried to twist it into his own little fun way. Voldemir isn't really his name. That was actually his great grandfather's name, who was a very respectable man. He just took that title from his grandfather. And that's one part of it. But that coworker had, in a way, well, not in a way, had actually murdered his entire platoon and left my character, Voldemir, to suffer through all of it because he could have actually stopped it. That coworker had brutally tortured him and made him think that there is nothing within this world. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the people in this chat already knows that my character is most likely going to be the villain. He's going to be the one to be causing a lot of trouble for certain things in certain situations, but he's doing it for one specific reason: to find that one hero and to help train that hero into actually being the perfect hero. And in return, he is going to be that perfect villain. He found the JFH on a whim because he's been constantly searching around, tired, just searching for people just to find out that they just wanted nothing but money, fame, and fortune, just everything other than what the actual title of hero is. He's just honestly tired of seeing people use the title of hero in a very poor way. And he doesn't care if he has to be the villain to make that come true, to make everybody feel safe and to make sure that they don't deal with that issue that he had dealt with, the issue that I dealt with. Nobody deserves that. Not even one bit. If I could have stopped it, I would have. End of story.
That was powerful, dude. See Captain Darkness over there clapping. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And again, I'm still taking notes for everybody over here. Zero, please. And then Sensei Claus.
Yo, can y'all hear me? All right. So can you repeat the question? Because I feel like I kind of got off track.
Sure. The question it's really, is JFH, are you a hero before JFH, or did JFH catalyze you to become a hero? It's really
Okay.
just that question.
Okay. Based off of what my character is, well, roughly based around, I feel as if he could be his own character, but in all honesty, I don't see him existing outside of JFH. I feel like JFH is the main reason why my character exists, but it wouldn't hurt for my character to be able to make his own stories and stuff like that. Because essentially, I feel like that's just what JFH is. But what I think is what I'm trying to say is I feel JFH and its like main storyline is the main reason why my character exists. But the option of my character having his own storyline is also a great attribute and additional part of it that makes JFH what JFH is. And outside of that, I don't think my character would have existed if it wasn't for it. So I'd like to say that's my answer.
That's super valuable. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
Sensei Klaus.
Hey, can you hear me all right? Great. So my angle is that my character would have existed beforehand, but would be using JFH to kind of find a sense of purpose. I wrote a short story about a year ago, standard 1 page, easy to read. And what it comes down to is my character doesn't show up, but he's a very lonely guy. He does not have really more than 2 or 3 friends, does not have much of a family, doesn't have connections with anybody for the most part, and he uses martial arts as a way to meet people and kind of broaden his social circle to something that actually exists. So what it comes down to as far as JFH goes is, again, my character, not me, different guy, being kind of lonely and directionless, I think would use that as a way to actually get out there and be something other than just a silly guy in a costume.
Thank you. That was wonderful and also hilarious in your delivery. That was great. No, that's anyone who's been watching JFH for a while, Sensei Klaus is one of the foundational Yulong, Sensei Klaus, Elixir. There's foundational heroes. Deathhawk. Juice. I think Juice is on here too. Thank you so much, Sensei Klaus. That was great. Okay. Anyone else want to share? Like we have. I know we have Code Gray on here, and I think we have Juice. We have Elixir. Of course, Jay Edward. Any of you guys?
I have one last entry to reveal.
Okay, sure.
One last entry to reveal. There will be a time where Captain Darkness will turn villainous. I just gave you the heads up because I just noticed that for a few minutes. I noticed that last night. I said he's going to turn villainous one day. He's going to be both villain and hero at the same time.
Well, we'll have more in the coming weeks. We're gonna have like actual. There'll be something that catalyzes villains. So that's coming in the coming weeks. So that'll be after episode 4. But you'll see that, and that's why in the video yesterday we said villains, stay tuned.
I was holding that for weeks. I was like anticipating the excitement, as I wanted the showcase.
I see hands still up. Is that I see Jay Edwards up. I see Yulong's up. I see Zeno's up. I see Zero's up. Jay Edward, do you want to say something?
Yes. Hello. Yes. Well, we all kind of become heroes from the first time we do something good for somebody else. We don't really realize that just approaching a kid that's lonely or sitting by himself, and you're talking to them, you're actually making a difference in their life. From that to the point where you see kids getting bullied and stepping in and saying something about it. I particularly remember 2 occasions in middle school. There was a kid who was being tossed around and dragged around in the boys' locker room, and I had no choice but to step in because he was getting his ass whooped by a bigger guy. And I perhaps wasn't the right approach, but I actually did the same to the kid that was doing it to the kid, because he needed to understand that what he was doing was wrong and how it felt. Because I mean, I had experience being bullied, I had experience being assaulted, but thankfully I have been training in martial arts since the age of 4. I can defend myself. And since then, you know, the kid was never bullied again. And I told the guy that was bullying the kid, is like, listen, if you only touch this guy again, you're gonna see me, you're gonna find me. And this kid never bullied anybody else again. And then I moved and it happened again. This was, I think it was basketball. We were playing basketball and the kid was just being aggressive towards the kid. I mean, the 2 kids I defended were like really skinny and the other kids were much bigger, you know, heavier and all the stuff. And it's like, some people don't realize the damage that they're doing to the kids until someone steps up and stops them. I have an occasion, this was in high school, I was playing basketball, and this time it was me, 5 kids assaulted me during playing basketball. And like, I literally had to wait until they gave me an ass whooping to justify the ass whooping that was gonna give them back. And I was fighting with these 5 guys. I noticed that the PE teacher was watching the whole thing. He didn't step in, he didn't say anything. And it's like, I was getting kicked down in the ground and until like adrenaline kicked in, got up and whooped their ass. It's like, nobody messed with me again. And whoever was friends with me never was met with. And I mean, it is a sense, I mean, it is rewarding to you when people just start respecting you out of something like that, and respecting the people that you know, nobody's gonna mess with them. Because I mean, you don't go to school to get bullied and to be, you know, harassed and to be discriminated and to be called names and all this stuff. You know, you're trying to do something good. And ever since I got this idea of you become a hero. You're a hero. You're stopping people from getting humiliated, abused, and whatnot, and this has caused people to commit suicide. So there has to be a point that you have to have enough to just have to step in and do something. And I've been developing stories for over 20 years, but I have gotten to the point where I'm so fed up that I have actually gone undercover to investigate like serious crimes. And I literally investigated for 5 years. I gave like 50 something numbers, addresses, license plates, names, you name it. Only 12 people got arrested from that. And from that, police actually came to my house to harass me. Police cars tried to run me off the road. So I mean, like, we're talking about big things, okay? We're talking about human trafficking, drug dealing, and all this stuff. And I came to the conclusion, in order for me to bring it out, I mean, I went undercover as a journalist to bring people aware that this shit is happening here in our backyard. Like, you cannot have your kid in the playground and feel that you're safe because some asshole is gonna come and just gonna kidnap them and they're gonna be sexually exploiting them. Like, there are serious crimes happening everywhere. And the US is one of the biggest places that this is happening. And Florida is like a headquarters for crime. There are billionaires in here. Like, you go to South Beach and almost everybody's a millionaire. And I bet you like more than 50% know somebody who is buying kids or buying women for sex and all this stuff. It's a huge problem that we have. You tell me, explain this to me. How is it that we can go overseas and find bad guys? We spend billions of dollars catching the bad guy, but here we have been fighting human trafficking, drug trafficking, and we never can put an end to it. How is that possible? And that just tell us how much corruption in the highest level they're protecting this type of crime. And guess what? Guess who's paying for it? Our taxes. We're paying taxes, and they're getting rich on us, and they're exploiting us, and they're abusing us, and we're paying for it. So, I mean, this is a lot of the foundation where my heroes come from. You know, all the ideas I have come from everything that I've seen, that I have experienced, that I have investigated. We are not safe. Our kids are not safe. So if we don't start really doing something, this is just gonna get bigger. I mean, seriously, who can go with their kid to a park and not feel that you really have to watch your kid? Something is gonna happen to them. And
Well-
this, what you're doing, is fantastic, because you know what? We have the power to do this, to motivate people, to change our mind, to watch for each other, to unite and fight the bad stuff. And that's why I became part of your group. Because even though I have my stories, I know that I cannot do it alone. I can motivate, I don't know, with films, you can motivate the masses, 100 million, 200 million, but each of you can reach out even more. And the stronger we are together, the more we can spread out and get stronger to protect each other, our children, our future. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you for sharing all of that, J. Edward. That was really powerful, really amazing. And you know,
Thank you.
I always stress that JFH is an entertainment app, you know, but the vision for JFH is 100% real in terms of us fictionalizing solutions to real world problems. And it's our stories that we tell ourselves that inform us to actually make changes in the real world. And so the more that we empower ourselves as the heroes of the story, the more that we're actually going to be taking heroic action in the real life. And, you know, I think that it's a testament to that is J. Edward, you being here. Another testament to that are the real life superheroes that are actually part of our cast, and leading into the next person who I'd love to speak, who is Code Gray, who is a real life superhero who happens to be in our cast. So please go for it.
So this is both in character and out of character, because my backstory as a JFH hero and my backstory as just a person are very similar. But I've made a few tweaks to just add in the whole catalyst of the app. Which represented a huge change in Code Gray's life. I don't go by Code Gray in my town. They don't really know me as anything. So I didn't really know that I had the ability to stand up against anyone or anything until near the end of 8th grade. And because that's when I started training a lot harder. I've been doing Kung Fu for a long time, but 9th grade and the summer before 9th grade was when I started training really hard. And, that's when I began to realize that, when I got to high school, I realized that I had power. And for a while, I used that power in ways I probably shouldn't have. The prime example of that being, there were these two guys who were stalking one of my best friends, and I basically found out where they would be after school on a certain day, and I probably gave one of them a concussion. I went a bit too far. I probably could have just told the administration about it, and they probably would have at least done something about it, gave him in-school suspension. It took me a while to realize that, that kind of thing earns one notoriety, and that's not what I was going for. And then sophomore year, I heard that near the beginning of sophomore year, I heard that there was this guy who was driving around in a silver sedan in my neighborhood, who was trying to get kids to get into his car with him. And so I kept an eye out for him, but I didn't really start looking for him until I heard that he had tried to pick up my one of my friend's younger sisters. So I actually started searching for him at that point. And then when I actually found, I caught him in the act, I took a video. And then that night I broke into his house and blackmailed him with the video. And I said, hey, I know what you did, get out of the area. And if you go to the police about this, I'll tell them everything. So that was what started, that was kind of what made me start working as an RLSH. And then in terms of how Code Gray got into using the app, he had been doing this stuff beforehand, but then he messed up real bad. He messed with the wrong people. he got jumped by more people than he could handle, and he got real mangled. And then this there's this mob boss who just went by the name of Silver, who figured that he could use Gray's help for like, you know, more more private favors, and basically said like, you know, I'll pay your medical bills if you do like these favors for me. Like, you know, if you just like need someone miscellaneous beaten up, like he would hire him for that. And Silver would hire him through the app, so it would be less suspicious. So like, for instance, in the first episode I've got planned, like in the first like little mini episode I've got planned, Silver hires Gray to like, you know, take care of the abuser of one of his family friends. And so, you know, it's just like more personal things that he'd get like looked down upon by his fellow like mob members for. And through this, he's like, you know, kind of getting back on his feet after being severely injured, and getting like, you know, also developing as a hero, and also like learning new skills and how to like better himself.
Oh, great. That's I actually you know, we still need to set up that real life superhero panel with you and some of the other RLSH folks in our community. So like I have tons of questions for you, and I want to save them because that was amazing, and thank you. But we'll schedule this panel. We'll announce it to everybody for hopefully for February.
Yeah, and Mouse, to answer your question, in JFH I'm an anti-hero.
Thank you again, Code Gray. And I see we have you long left. We have EQ who's in here now as well, and we have Juice. So I believe Cody's Juice. Cody, if you're not Juice, if you're another Cody, please let me know. I apologize in advance if so. But you long, please go for it. Again, the question is did JFH catalyze your character, or were your heroism, or were you already a hero before that?
Right. So for Yulong, the name Yulong was a thing that was given to, I'll be in character, given to me for a very long time ago after a specific set of cultivation or meditation and cultivating of the mind practices were passed down. It is a title for a state of being. So Yulong is out of character now. Yulong is basically already there prior to JFH, already doing work into society, be it through teaching methods of the mind and or teaching martial arts, philosophy, kind of getting people's mind straight, because the only reason a Yulong would arise or would come would be through in this story, the multiverse. There is a disorder. It's not like keeping order between chaos and actual order. It is because of the influence of chaos and order not being not equal, just having the right amount of time for each one. The balance is in their tipping point. It's not in because you have a certain amount of time period, it is in the tipping point. And because those things don't align, a Yulong will arise and start to try to tip the scale to make things proper. So within an incarnation, there's only one Yulong. So there are several years of time that Yulong was developing, and then went back into solitude. So developing through normal kid years, but learning meditation, developing himself, his mind, whatever. And then took off and went into the mountains for training, which is basically what happened to me. Like, I went to the mountains in China and I trained, learning this stuff from a very young age, and then developing throughout the years, teens into the 20s, and then heading out and shipping out to solitude. Years later, coming back, the whole concept of JFH in the Yulong storyline is that there needs to be an outlet in which to reach people on a more grander scale. So instead of looking for each individual, this one looks good, they should be training. Let me get this person in, try to attract them into training to let them know where they can play a role into influencing people for a better outcome. Generally, JFH seemed to be the better outlet in which I can actually, or this character can actually jump in and be like, okay, when there is a greater need for a very important major social influence, be it mass scale missions, okay, on high level country issue, social issue, but issue meaning like life and death situation, like storming the castle and freeing those hostages because there's intel within those hostages hands that can really create a greater a freer society or freer peoples or something like that. So things on a grander scale, that's when that's where Yulong would see the chance to say, hey, I'm ready to go into this. On the other end, outside of JFH, he handles varying other types of issues, not related to the crime busts and the person getting mugged to a degree. But those can interrelate into portions of the story for Yulong, be it sitting in a park just hanging out, talking to the tree, and all of a sudden the app rings, and right around the corner something's going on. Be like, hey, I'll be right back. It can just segue right off into my own Yulong's own story, and then into the greater picture of JFH. It is excuse my language. We need another person. We need someone else. And it's like, well, Yulong's available. He seems to be in the area, something like that. Or let's see if he can do it. Right, boom. And then all of a sudden, yes, because that's the major aspect of me wanting to be part of the JFH, is to have the greater impact, to have that better timing of, in my world, in the world of Yulong's world, outside of JFH, the better timing of that chaos, order, interplay. It's not so much about the balance of them, remember? So that's where I would want to have been part of the JFH, or Yulong's character would be into the JFH universe, because there's a greater outlet to reach and to make a greater difference for his own personal mission.
Thank you, Yulong. That's can you just tell us one more time, what does Yulong mean? Like the actual translation?
Well, Yulong is the character for universe. Yu is the character for universe. Yu, and Long is for dragon. So yeah. Part of the cultivation methods that I received many, many moons ago in actual out of character reality. It was part of that, and it was generally like a step up into specific types of metaphysical or philo-spiritual practices. And those were granted to me, and I practiced them, and that was the premise. So in reality, outside of the mission of JFH and JFH Universe, this thing did exist. And then creating the backstory wasn't too hard because I already had a story behind it. I was writing this stuff down many years ago, and now it's just putting it into action, into video, and integrating it into the greater mission of JFH.
No, thank you for sharing. And anybody who is, I mean, in general, I highly recommend as a martial artist and as a coach. I coach like the U.S. team for the grappling side of Tai Chi in real life, out of character. So like I can't recommend enough watching what Yulong is doing in terms of his breath work. Like he's an absolute master of what he's doing, and the breath work. If you're into martial arts, if you're into looking at the movement of the mind through the body, you know, the more you look at it, the more you know what you're looking at. And when I look at what Yulong's doing, it's really high level, amazing stuff. So I highly recommend checking out any of his training videos that he puts out as part of his story. It's like spectacular that we have someone of his caliber of learning with that breath work, et cetera, actually creating content in our universe. It's crazy to me. So like, I highly recommend checking out what he's doing. Very, very cool stuff.
Just one more thing. Thank you, Jan, very much. Thank you, everybody. I do have to check out. I have to do some some things today, and I apologize for jumping out in the middle of our whole entire meeting here.
Anyway, we're grateful for you. We love you. Thank you for being on. And we'll go for a few more minutes, everyone, because I just want to make sure everyone's has a chance to talk about. Thank you, Yulong. Their character and whether or not. Again, the question is, and I had a general question for everyone too to kind of close it out. But did JFH catalyze your character, or were you already a hero? And so next up, EQ, you available?
Give me just a moment. Let me go next. I'll be with you.
Okay.
Sure.
Juice, Cody, if you are the Cody of Juice.
Juice has mic doesn't work.
Okay, his mic doesn't work. Okay. So Elixir. All right, Avel, Alexa. There we go. Oh, she's turning on her
Hi.
camera.
Yeah, I'll pop on for a second. Sorry, I'm in France, and I just got here. What's today? Saturday. I got in on Tuesday. I'm like, my jet lag has hit me. But it was actually really nice to hear everybody go first because it gave me a chance to think. I feel kind of like, in the vein of where J. Edward was talking a lot about how there's just so much in real life that feels overwhelming sometimes. We're just one person, but it really does take a lot of courage and bravery to step up and step in and stand up and say something. And sometimes it's just with words, and sometimes it's with physical action. And I think that I consider myself a Vel Juliet out of character. I consider myself a healer. It's part of what I've been working towards and trying to harness within myself, for myself and for other people. And so I think that JFH and your reaching out to me and pulling me into your mission has helped me. Just, Elixir is my name for my incarnation of my healing self. And so I think that there's a lot of crossover back and forth. I feel that there is more that I can do as a human. And so, being a part of the story you're telling and other people are telling, like you said, try to remember your words, imaginary circumstances to real world problems.
Oh, fictionalizing solutions to real world problems.
There you go. So that's why I'm here. So I really kind of, consider it a catalyst into being more thoughtful and active and and being a part of a community. I think that I sent a little message too. I am in Florida too, so with J. Edward, and I don't know who else is in Florida, but he's right on the money with all the things that he shared. There's a lot that we can that I can get involved in. The pandemic keeps things weirdly isolated right now, but I want to weave in the real life, excuse my French, shit. And both bring it from real life into story, and art imitating life imitating story. So I think JFH is a catalyst for me, for sure.
Thank you.
And I hope to learn. I'm hope to learn a lot from everybody. Just listening, So thank you.
Thank you. Really beautifully chosen words. Andra. Oh, actually, sorry. EQ wanted to go next. So EQ.
Hi. For everybody that doesn't know, hadn't seen me yet, my name is Elbert, and I play Eddie Quinn. For Mouse, actually, for a little behind the scenes, Mouse is actually my brother. So he and I are going to be kind of merging our stories together in certain areas. In universe, Eddie Quinn and Mouse are not related, not friends. They meet each other during our story and become part of JFH almost together separately, if that makes any sense. But the stuff that I've been working on with Mouse to bring to the table, I hope is going to be really fun. Eddie Quinn is not a hero per se. He's not a villain. He's just kind of he's just a violent person. He's a thief. Let me start over. Eddie Quinn is a thief who is just getting out of prison when our story begins, trying to figure out what happened. The circumstances around what went on were, without giving away anything, were a little odd for somebody that is as good at what he does as he is. And so the story we're going to be telling is one about, or at least on my end, is going to be about corruption, which, as everybody knows, we have a lot of in the real world. And I mean, if we're going to fictionalize problems, solutions to real world problems, I thought no better universal problem would be than corruption, be it at the small scale or the large scale. And at the moment, I'm going to be dealing with a small scale corruption in a single town of one man running everything and getting away with it. But it's going to be really fun for fans of the Marvel Spider-Man flicks. Mouse is your guy in the chair, people. If you need him, call him. If you need an ass whooped, hit the button on the app. Eddie Quinn is not somebody. He's not a people person, but he does care about people. He's just not very nice about it. I wanted to create somebody that was very opposite of me to play, because I'm a generally try to be a nice person. My background, I was a stand-up comedian. I'm a musician. I'm a writer. And I've never really had any experience doing like filmmaking type stuff, but I've always wanted to. So when this opportunity to come up and be a part of something like this, I kind of couldn't ignore it. Like, it was almost like a sign from the universe. Your ad popped up right at the right time in my life when I was already working on something else that I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. It was going to be just this little short film or short story that I was wanting to do. And JFH popped up at the right moment for me to be able to just transition and say, well, hell, this story could work for that if I just move this here and this here and this here. And oh, look at that. I have a brand new story and a whole universe full of people to join and be a part of. So Eddie will eventually become more of a hero. I think you put it last time, he's a bad guy with a heart of gold. It's more gilded than anything. So we're going, hopefully throughout the story that I tell, we will see more of Eddie's humanity as he becomes more of the person he wants to be rather than the person that he is, if that makes sense.
EQ. We got that. Thank you so much, EQ. There's a lot of sound bites to pull from there. There's some sound bites.
I do my best.
Very, very inspiring. Thank you so much. So I see we have Andra next, and I see your hand up, Captain Darkness. So please give us a moment. I want to finish up with the round. Andra, why don't you go for it?
Okay. Hi guys. Andra Roxana in character out of character, the same name. The story is still taking shape, but for now, Andra is a Romanian girl that didn't grow up in the States, but grew up watching movies and wanting to be part of the worlds that she was seeing on the screen. She's smart. She's being bullied for asking too smart questions that are too smart. She's being encouraged by her family, especially her grandfather. But when he dies, she becomes invisible. The only way for her to be visible is to start being of the world and numbing and dumbing down her gifts. Fast forward, she immigrates to the States. She leaves the corporate world. She's a programmer, but women in tech are being bullied as well. So she decides to leave that world and do something else until she meets Jen, the creator of JFH. And when she hears the story of JFH, she realizes that this is the place where that she doesn't have to be someone else than who she was all the time, and to use all those gifts into building the app. And more to come from there, but that's the gist of it, and super grateful for all of you guys.
Thank you, Andra. That was beautiful. And I think last but definitely not least, Cody, aka potentially Juice. the mystery still stands. If Cody is Juice, oh, that's right. His mic doesn't work. Okay, so I'm not sure if he put anything in the chat here. Oh, hey, I'm Juice. Mike doesn't work, but my character is an anti-hero who spends the majority of his story in JFH to become the true hero character. He commits to it in his last chapter of the story. So lots of times Juice will respond as a hero, but has intent of an anti-hero. That is a pregnant statement. And so thank you, Juice, for that. There's a lot there. And everyone check out Juice's episode 3 is Juice's episode, so it's pretty cool. Captain Darkness. I'm gonna after Captain Darkness goes, I'm gonna actually, you know what, Captain Darkness, I'm gonna give you my my in character or my out of character description of the in character story. But so thank you everybody for stating whether or not JFH was catalyzing you or not. I think we're kind of split in terms of this is helpful because our journey challenges, which are supposed to be to help your character story grow, it's a truncated hero's journey model. 15 video challenges that if you do these 15 challenges in sequence, you'll have a mini origin story, a mini movie just about your character. So that being said, it's really helpful in how that's framed, especially as we frame it in the app for people who may not be on these hero meetups, who may not have as intimate of a connection with the community as you guys do, and so that everyone can just get it right away. And they're like, okay, cool. It helps me whether or not I'm catalyzed by JFH. This is going to help me tell my story. And no matter how I do it, as long as I follow the universe rules, it's canonical. It is, you know, it could be shared and impacts the rest of the story. So thank you for that. Just add a character, a quick description of my character. I think I might have said this in the past, but essentially, and this actually happened in real life. You know, I was actually having a meeting about, in real life, I'm a martial artist. And so in the story, I'm teaching Tai Chi and I see somebody abusing their girlfriend. And, you know, I'm actually teaching somebody who is an investor for a Tai Chi app that I want to build. And what actually happens is you know, I go over and intervene when this person is getting rough with their partner, and it turns into a fight and escalates. The police don't come, they don't come in time, so I have to handle things on my own. And I realized that instead of trying to build a Tai Chi app, I should actually just be building an app that's actually helpful to people when it comes to like justice. So it is Justice for Hire is born from there. And that actually happened to me in a meeting about, in real life, out of character, a meeting about Real World, which is the startup company that is producing Justice for Hire and everything. I'm in a meeting with an investor, and somebody comes by abusing their girlfriend right in front of me. And I'm, you know, had to step in, and then he starts threatening me. And as I was instructed by security experts, because of, if you have a weapon on you, you have to call the police first to let them know that you're going to engage whoever is causing a problem, and that you have a weapon. And being a martial artist at the level that I'm at, I'm considered a weapon. So I have to call to make sure that they know I'm going to engage. And they're like, do you want us to send somebody? I'm like, sure. And it was going to take like 15 minutes for someone to get there. In real life, the guy, just because I called the cops, stopped everything and kind of ran away. But it catalyzed that moment of saying, huh, like these police officers weren't going to show up here for 15 minutes and this guy was right in front of me and the problem like could have jumped off right there. It could have been a real serious fight. And it just kind of inspired, like, huh, this sounds like the way to reboot the Justice for Hire comic book series and turn it into a cinematic universe where anyone can join. so that's how that worked out. But all of that said, and I want to get to Captain Darkness's question. I have a question for, actually, I'll ask that question as the closing question. Captain Darkness, you had your hand up, and then I'll ask the closing question. So,
I have something to share with all of you, since it's a little something I worked up for days. So here it comes. Oh, there we go. If you can hear me, but it's a little whisper, so be wary so you can hear me. It's so much. It's so much. Can't wait. So, I have to tell this to the about you. Well, it's not time. I show you the rules of the whole organization. He is our overseas. Easy. I love this mask. It's worked perfectly for me long when I created this character. So this, huh?
Thank you for sharing that. And I'll say that it'll likely be even that much more effective with a mic where you can kind of low, whispering into the mic where you can kind of lower your volume, because all of us were leaning in. I have my son on the other side of the screen, and he was like leaning into. So it definitely gave chills. So thank you for sharing that. And
yes,
as a closing question to everybody, is there a way that we can be better on our end in terms of I want to recap quickly because this question connects to it. Year-long strategy. We're going to be releasing more clarity on the exact vision, what the exact phases are for the actual universe story in phases. We're going to release all of them at once in the coming weeks. And so that way everyone's going to see how all the episodes tie together and therefore you can plan your content and your stories to tie in with the larger universe so that we can get to a year from now going on tour, year from now ballpark, going on tour and actually traveling to the heroes that have the most built out stories. In other words, your journey challenges, you have your origin stories complete. We know that we can travel, send a film crew and go there and actually start producing content with you, with other heroes in your area that may not necessarily have as their stories as complete as yours, but to be able to tie all this together. So, and of course, this is creating even more of a groundswell for us to produce bigger films and other spin-off series that all tie together. Again, with each and everybody owning their own characters, reaping the monetary benefits from that as well, not only the creative satisfaction and the fun in the community. So all of that is what we're doing now. The way that we get there in terms of steps that you can take are doing both challenges, journey challenges, and missions. So my question is, the mission, we're going to put a CTA out for you to recreate episode 3 this week. We'll put it out today so that essentially it gives like a 4-shot formula and you can send us those shots. We can cut them together for you if you don't want to cut them together for yourself. But in terms of actually being able to help with the journey challenges and just content, help you guys make your content within the cinematic universe. Is there anything that we can do on our side that we may not be thinking of, or ideas that you have to help guide the experience, to help guide the story and give more clarity on, hey, this is the next challenge. This is the time when this is the ideal time to get it done, etc. Not to say that there's a time limit on anything, but yeah, any thoughts or ideas from anyone here?
I have a thought.
EQ.
I think the biggest challenge with doing a shared cinematic universe, if we're wanting to do something akin to what Marvel does, is knowledge of what everyone is doing, which is what these hero meetings is a good thing for. But if we know what everyone else is doing, we can write our stories around each other so that we don't step on each other's toes. You know what I mean? Like, so if we know that there's there's some big gang warfare in New York between JFH heroes and a gang, and there's a big battle, we could reference it on our shows, say in a news article or in the paper or what have you. Just something I think it's the little things like that, the touches in the background are the things that are really the glue that brings all these universes together. Otherwise, we're all telling individual stories that happen to coincide.
Thank you so much, EQ. That makes me think about just the it would probably be valuable for us to have on our app some sort of section that says happening in the universe now. We have a world section, but we can probably make that a little bit more robust, saying that here's what's happened in EQ's story, that essentially easily referenceable items that just kind of summarizes for, hey, J. Edward in Florida is going through this, Elixir's in France right now, she saw this. And just to be able to summarize, hey, this is what's happening in the world for this week or this month. Here's a short bullet point list of that. That way people can mention in their stories, maybe on that bullet point list have assets that you can download and put into your story that kind of references that story. That seems like the right step for that. So thank you. Any other thoughts or ideas on that? Oh, Elixir.
Abel wants to say something.
Oh, both Elixir and okay, Elixir first, because I saw your hand.
Yeah, I think.
No.
I was thinking, and you kind of already touched base on it, like a database of information, so that, and maybe this already exists with a collaboration option. So if it's in the app, for example, and you have the list of all the bullet points of what's going on and where the storylines are going, and people can actively be, real time inserting, this is where my storyline is going, yada, yada, yada. I want to, so, Voldemir is going through this line, this storyline. I want to collaborate. Okay, so like maybe there's like a collaborate button. I don't know anything about these things, but so like that. First in my head, I'm like, okay, a shared Google Doc where everybody can like put in information in their own page and everyone can see what each is doing. And some of us, like myself, maybe I'm like going with the flow and I'm kind of looking where everybody else is going. How can I insert myself in, because maybe I haven't really created or been able to create my own story for myself, and I want to be inspired by someone else's, and how do I maybe collaborate with them, obviously with their permission, to kind of bring things together, hence the whole community, working together. Maybe that's something that can be in the app, or maybe something that can happen on an, I guess you call it an administrative backend, type thing, to keep a cohesion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, we truly appreciate it. We actually have a join button in the app for different missions and challenges. So that absolutely. But when it comes to assets, you brought up a really important point that we should share, that as of last week and the CTA that we'll put out today for recreation of episode 3 as a mission, that challenge, that mission has assets associated with it that you can download right now on our website. So if you just go to the community page, and we were talking about this for the last like month and a half or 2 months, so it actually finally went into effect this week. I think that was sparked by a conversation with J. Edward on one of our previous hero meetups. So now you can actually download the assets right from the website without even having to go into the app. And those assets include, essentially, you can have the JFH in character or universe version of the app, because the universe version of the app is very different, or at least for now is different than the app that we have as a collaborative tool that unites the community. So if you go to the community page, if justiceforhire.com and click community, you can download the assets that showcase both raw Photoshop files and JPEG files of the app, of where you can move around. Those Photoshop files are very detailed in terms of making sure that you can easily move around an icon and say that there's a hero on this part of the map, there's a target or a villain on this part of the map, and the client is over here. So there's maps, there's accept screens, there's join screens for other heroes. So you can actually, if you're shooting on your phone, or if you're shooting with a friend who's got another phone, you can shoot each other's phones and actually get shots of the app in operation. Again, the universe version of the app. So it looks like you're going on a mission. It looks like you're teaming up with another hero, and all that's available literally right now. And we'll emphasize that in the video we put out later on today that says where you can download all this stuff. And Jay Edward, you had a comment?
Yes, you do have a Facebook page where we can post the idea that we have for an episode, and people can just hook into that to create from that episode. Another thing is that I think it would be great to use as a hook the introduction of another hero at the ending of the episode, so that way you get them interested. You establish the introduction of your new character for the next following episode as a hook. Another thing is that I forgot to mention is that filmmaking has the power to influence our culture or future children. So I mean, technically, we motivate when we make a film, when we make a TV series or anything like. We are actually motivating children to become firemen, doctors, lawyers, and whatnot. I mean, just the fact that we're creating heroes, we're giving them the mentality that doing good is good. It's just like the martial arts movies. How many children have become martial artists just because they watch Karate Kid or Bruce Lee and whatnot? We have that power of influence in our future, in our children, and even in adults, because we get motivated to do things based on what we see. That's how we get motivated to be artists, to become filmmakers, to become painters, photographers, and whatnot. It pulls us to do something good for humanity. This is our legacy. We are motivating to have a better future. That will be our legacy from this on.
I 100% agree with you, and thank you for just underlying that, because that's absolutely a major motivation in terms of character development. Like what we're really doing here is we're building characters, and these characters live on. Character lives on far beyond the body. We remember the dead based on the characters, the life, the story they lived. And so the fact that we're all doing this together, to me, is I think this is indicative of a shift in I think human evolution. Honestly, like what we're doing, the actively taking control of how we tell ourselves a story is a huge deal. So thank you everybody for being a part of this. And does anyone have any other comments, questions, ideas before we finish up? Captain Darkness.
Yeah, I had a question. Since you said mic, I wonder how I can actually put a mic in this mask, because I don't know what type of mic they will use.
On the sideline, I'll send you a little, and maybe even Jay Edward has I know he's a filmmaker as well, that looks like, if I look in the background of his space, looks like he's rigging up a bunch of stuff over there for both sound and.
I have something that says on Amazon the MK17.
Look at Jay Edward's screen. He's showing you a wireless mic.
Oh, what kind is that?
Hold on, he's gonna unmute.
Hang on, let me get the other piece. 1 second.
So I think he's got a wireless lav mic, and you can put the lavalier right by. The mic is called a lavalier, and you can probably.
Lavalier?
Yeah, it looks like he's got a wireless lav lavalier mic, and you can insert it right into your mask, or right at the bottom, like maybe corner, so that your face.
I do have a
You
question
connect
for
this
you.
to this,
Connect this to this. Oh.
and you put this inside your mask or by your neck, and it should be able to pick up it.
It'll have a clip on it too, so you can clip right onto a collar or right on the bottom of the mask.
Right.
And that way, when you whisper, like, because the whole thing is you like, the whisper sounded great and it was chilling, but we couldn't clearly it was hard to hear each one of the words. So if you were just to be able to clearly record it, the articulation is there, and then the feeling will be matched with the actual like information that you're sharing in terms of dialogue.
Perfect. I found the lavalier, but I'm not sure if it's. I'm gonna try it out.
Yeah, if you could send over a recommendation for him, either on this chat or on IG, then we'll just share it from there. Or
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, for me to
I mean,
actually-
if you want good quality sound, you're gonna spend some money. It's gonna cost you anywhere from 200 to 350, 450. There is Sennheiser and Sony. Mine are well, I have both. I have Sennheiser and I have Sony, and they're pretty good. You just gotta decide which one you want. And
I'm gonna put the Comica mics. The Comica mics are fairly new, and they're about 175 for two wireless Comica mics and a full package and a little like we're actually using that now, because otherwise we'd have to hire a sound guy for literally everything.
Okay.
So I highly recommend checking out the Comica mics, and I just put that into chat for you just now. So
Perfect.
but yeah, check that out online. The Amazon has a package for it. And EQ, did you have something to say?
I do have one question just for my own personal knowledge, and maybe others can use this as well. As a first-time filmmaker, how would you? A lot of the people that I've got that are going to be helping me with this, or at least the ones that have agreed to help with this, are non-actors. Have never done acting of any kind, myself included. I've done very small things, but it's usually been comedy related from when I was a stand-up. But how would you suggest trying to get the best performance out of a non-actor?
So I'll say this, that there is I forgot what filmmaker this was, but this is from probably the 40s or 50s, maybe even the 30s. No, so somewhere between 30s and 50s. But he was talking about casting, working with non-actors, and the importance of when you're working with non-actors. I think it might have been an Italian filmmaker, to make sure that they're doing the thing that they do. So in other words, like asking a milkman to be the milkman, asking it's like whatever thing that they do already is one
Play into their skill
to leverage from the person who is a non-actor. If when it comes to getting it depends on creatively though what you want to do, because you might want a non-actor to play a particular role, and from that sense, Elixir had to leave, but I would very much communicate with Elixir, and I can put you together on IG, because she ran our whole acting workshop earlier this month. From a directorial standpoint, I normally have to use my own intuition on can somebody read a line. I normally have them read for a role before I cast them as in a role, unless I know them very well and I feel very confident on what they can do as from a directorial standpoint. So it really starts to become about your internal compass, and while you're training that compass, I always just recommend having people read lines and see, can they actually say the line that I would like them to say, and is it believable? And like from there, what adjustments should I be asking for? Is kind of my perspective. Jay, Edward, do you have any thoughts from a directorial perspective? Oh, you're on mute, Jay Edward.
Sorry, I just turned it off. Yeah, I think we can actually help them direct if they need help. Doing it remotely, just with the phone. We communicate through them via video message, and we can watch as they're doing their stuff and help them out.
That's also another option. I mean, like if the schedules sync up and you feel like you need, I will easily. I am a director, but I will make sure that if I'm in front of the camera, this is for me. Not every director is like this, but if I'm in front of the camera, I want another director there watching me, telling me how to adjust my performance. That's there are folks that don't do that. They feel and they're super confident. I watch Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Don John. He's amazing in how he acts and directs, and sometimes you can feel when someone's acting and directing because they seem a little disconnected and a little deadpan in their delivery, and it's when I notice that it's not the most engaging, but the performers that can do it well, it's a skill and it's great when you see it. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to train that skill. Some people are more inclined to be able to just jump in front of the camera and do it and know exactly what they want, know where they want the camera, know what they want to say, and know what everyone else is supposed to say around them. So that's pretty dynamic. But any help you need, we're here as a community. You have a bunch of directors in the room. You have a bunch of people that do have other skill sets that you can call upon. So always feel free to call upon all of us, any of us.
Yeah, and when you're on set,
this is a new environment. This is a new journey for me. I've always wanted to try this. To being able to pick the brains of people that are more educated on it is going to be a great asset.
Well, thank you for just being open. Because it's that openness that's going to lead to these new levels of collaboration that we're all engaging on now. So thank you guys. Thank you everybody. Right. J. Edward,
just wanted to say, one more thing. Whenever actors are on set, they don't always do this exactly the same. Many times you do it differently in different tones and different versions of how they are projecting or how they're saying the lines. So it's not always one way when you're on set. When you film, like you film different versions of the same lines, and the editor and the director pick up the best one that connects better to the story. So it's always good to have someone there to, like Jansa was saying, to give you a better direction for your lines and your character.
And I want to add to that just in terms of two things. Like we're in COVID era, everyone's producing content and you produce it remotely. So you may not have, as Jay Edward said, you can call us up and maybe we can be on a line and be helpful. But if not, you should feel very confident, and everyone should feel very confident as their own director. And the more you're just going to get more confident as you do it. It's just going to happen. And so, that's one thing. The other thing is simplicity. I think a lot of times there is the image of the director going up and saying something profound to an actor, and they get this amazing performance out of the actor. At the end of it, like slower, faster, higher, lower. Just like simple direction will help you get especially from non-actors, will help you get a performance more closer to what you want, and then just kind of tying things together for their lives. So say it as if you haven't seen somebody in a long time. Say it as if you want to get rid of them. Say hi as if you haven't seen one. Hi, I haven't seen you in a long time. Say hi as if you want to get rid of them. Hi, like just being able to channel, say something without saying it in the tone. Little things like that, but simplicity for non-experienced actors is key, and also for experienced actors, but definitely for non-experienced.
Thank you.
Yeah, but remember, safety first, guys. Everybody, safety first.
Yes, 100%.
You're no fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't want you to break an arm or a leg in the middle of the scene, and then that'll be too real.
Thank you, everybody. This has been such an amazing session and so helpful and so motivating. We'll put out the CTA tonight, and we'll see you. Anyone who's on the app test team, we'll see you Wednesday and Tuesday nights. Everyone, I think you guys know this, but I host a Tai Chi session where we dedicate any donations to a noble cause of the week. So this is part of, and we want to do more of these sessions. Eventually, anybody who's an expert in anything, if you want to dedicate through JFH, dedicate a session of something to a noble cause, we should be doing that, because this is all about us actually creating and affecting the real world in a positive way. So every week, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. EST, I'm doing an hour session of Tai Chi, breathing, etc. And this stuff is massively helpful, especially for cameramen. Lots of cameramen do Tai Chi to achieve the smoother shots, and also have spatial awareness for the construction of shot lists. So it's super important. Highly recommend it, and everyone's always welcome. And I love you guys, and I'm just very, very grateful for all of you. So thank you, and have an amazing weekend. Oh, well, we have one more question.
Okay. So I feel like this is gonna be funny. What if something like Shield happened, like, or Sword or something like that from like Marvel, but it was like JFH though?
I mean, the answer is yes.
It would be funny. It would be like 5 heroes or something, like join up. That would be like freaking cool.
So I essentially that's 100% what we're working toward. Again, is being able, this whole year-long vision is not just to be able to produce small episodes across the country, which is, like unheard of. Like no one's done that, so we're gonna do it. It's gonna be great. But it's also the concept of us being able to unite all of our characters in singular, large Avengers-like stories. So there will be multiple organizations. If you're on the app, you'll see that there's team affiliations. So that means you can start building out your team with, and we already have a few teams that have been running for like a year. So yeah, guys, I mean, like this is a multi-year vision, and I just want to make sure that we always have a forum to talk about it, because we're building it together, So thank you all again, and have an amazing weekend. And
I dropped the villain name down in the chat if anyone didn't see it.
Necrocide, no? Or Necrocide?
Necrocide?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now is that because I was missing a villain name for one of your villain characters. So one is Necrocide.
That's the first one. That's the first villain. That's the name for. That made in October.
Yeah, Necrocide. I don't see it here. Do you have the spelling?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna make sure that's properly tagged.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
Albert wants to say something.
Oh yes.
Real quick. You don't have to elaborate real bad. I just wanted any kind of teaser. You said something on a post the other day about villains. Can you give us any kind of hint?
So I'll say this, that in terms of when we start after episode 4, which will be in about like 2 weeks, we'll essentially be putting out events, like catalyzing events for villains. So these catalyzing events will essentially like be able to activate more villains in the community, because villains are actually going to be really easy to source. It's the heroes that we want to, like, I mean, this is just me out of character, Jan, personally speaking, that we want to have more of a heroes culture across the board. So we're going to be able to find villains, sure. And it's going to be fun to play the villain. And it's interesting to hear heroes saying that, I'll likely turn villain. But that process in and of itself to me is really interesting, because you're going through change and you're evolving, and at times that change may look negative, but what is the real trajectory of a hero who becomes a villain? Is heroism is still at the end of that tunnel? So that's as there will be more details soon. It's a larger conversation. I really want to take the appropriate time to speak on it, but there will be opportunity for a lot more villains.
Hey, Jan, just one thing. I think we should make a database of the type of martial arts that people are experts on, or the type of activities they're able to perform. So that way we can, I'm sorry, what?
A skill set database.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Yes.
Yeah, so that's thank you for bringing it up again. That's something that we yes, you're 100% right. That is something that needs to be there, and you know, we're really looking at our hero profiles like trading cards. If you remember the trading cards from like Marvel, DC, etc. So we really look at it like that, and they always have the stats. So over time, we are going to build out our stats more, especially as we start building out a point system for content created and for missions accomplished, etc. So
Right.
yeah, so thank you for that reminder.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, have an amazing weekend.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Appreciate everyone.